My husband and I moved to Fresno from Hermosa Beach about 7 years ago. My oldest born son, named Grayson, was 1 year old at the time. And a couple of months after we moved here, I became pregnant with Parker, my youngest, and he is now 6 years old. A few months ago, Parker woke up, he had a fever, and he was complaining about a stomach ache. Parker has autism, so communication and language is difficult for him. We took him to the doctor. He had no other symptoms, so we assumed he was fine. And finally, 6 days of a significantly high fever, we decided that we were going to take him into the hospital. Not being from Fresno, a lot of things are still unfamiliar to us, and I remember that night thinking, where do we take him? Do we take him to a grown-up hospital? I think there's a children's hospital over the hill. I see the pink big castle. So Michael decided I'll just take him to children's. A couple of hours later is when I got a phone call from Michael letting me know that they had done some initial tests on Parker and it wasn't just a virus, and they believe he had a ruptured appendix. The morning after Parker is admitted into the hospital, I drop Grayson off at school and I drive directly to the hospital. And as soon as I walked in and I saw Parker and I could kiss his face and hold him close, I felt like we were going to be okay. And as I walked in the door, I had noticed a sign right outside that said George's Pass. And what I had noticed about it is that it had puzzle pieces on it. And I have 2 young boys living with autism. And so puzzle pieces is frequently associated with autism. Immediately they gave me forms to fill out that were based on Parker's condition. And in school, in medical, in life, I'm used to filling out a million forms. A lot of times they don't really make that much sense. I look at this form and it was written by someone who actually knows autism. Things that are extremely important to a child like Parker, whose very diagnosis demands routine, consistency. Children with autism learn and process the world differently. Therefore, the way we interact with them needs to be different. And so few places in the world know that. I wear a bracelet, it says change the world, because sometimes when something happens to you in life that jolts you out of your reality, you realize that some of our greatest struggles could potentially be gifts. I think one of the greatest struggles that we all have in life is when we're misunderstood. And from the moment we walked into Valley Children's until the moment we left, we were understood.
The people that assemble to work at a place like Valley Children's Hospital do so because they have a certain heart for it and also a certain mind and knowledge base for it. I think that comes to the forefront most poignantly sometimes when you have children who have injury, illness, or disabilities combined, because they're not always easy to read. So one of the things that we uniquely prepare ourselves for here is to take care of children who have all sorts of different illnesses and disabilities in combination. And sometimes they don't come with an owner's manual or a big flashing sign on their forehead saying, this is what's wrong with me, this is what you have to do. I think that's one of the special things about a place like this. It's a place where kids can come and be safe and respected and treated no matter what their underlying problem is. There's a popular author who writes about leadership named Simon Sinek, who wrote a book about, it starts with a why, and his central thesis of his book is that great organizations exist because the people who work there believe in the why of what they're doing. So they have this kind of, he uses a term like a golden circle. There's something at the core of it that you believe in, and I think that's what attracts people to work at Valley Children's. It's why, for instance, the George's Pass program was literally developed through the efforts of a couple of nurses who also had children with autistic spectrum disorders and saw a need for that and saw a need in our community. And this is a place that lets those kind of ideas come together and blossom and be the best they can be for our kids.